Hi there, happy hump day and welcome to Wednesday. I hope you're having an amazing week. In a world where if a politician doesn't like something or a piece of data or some evidence, they'll just label it fake news. In a world where social media can mean that things aren't what they seem, it's more important than ever to challenge what you're hearing and what you're seeing, to get curious and to see what sits beneath, what lies beyond what might just be the obvious or what someone is trying to convince you to believe. One of the most fascinating examples of this is the Theranos Scandal. So Theranos was a biotech startup which was created by Elizabeth Holmes. Now, at its peak, the company was valued at 9 billion and she was gracing the covers of all of these magazines because she was seen as this amazing young tech entrepreneur. The challenge was the invention, which was this miniaturized blood analyzer. It didn't work. Yet she had managed to convince many people, including some very savvy investors, to back her. Now, you can sit back and kind of wonder why. To me, there's a couple of layers to this. One, I'm fascinated at someone who's got the audacity to try and pull this off. And two, why was it that people were so easily fooled? Now, if you want to get to the bottom of some of this, you should read the book Bad Blood: Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup by a Wall Street Journal guy called John Carreyrou. Fascinating book. But that example aside, what is critical to sit back and really ponder and dig into is, how is that possible? How is it possible for so many people to fall in love with an idea or a concept when there's actually not a lot of evidence backing up the claims? You could say that it's about charisma. It can be easy to charm people to believe something that they want to believe. But also we're tribal creatures and we like being part of a pack. And if other people are supporting something, we can then fall in line and support that too. You know, the field of behavioral economics always will show that often we're not rational when it comes to financial decisions. And we really don't like the idea of missing out. But at a time when the world is getting increasingly complex, we need to really challenge ourselves. What are the thought processes that we're using? We need to seek information that covers both ends of the spectrum, both ends of the debate, so that we're fully informed. And that when you're then making up your mind, you can really make up your mind, not just on a gut reaction, but that you're listening to the gut and also looking at rational data from all different sources. Now, this of course also doesn't mean you don't listen to ideas that you disagree with. It's actually really important to do that, to get curious and to ask yourself, if I don't like that idea, why don't I like the idea? And if someone else is really for that idea, why do they think like that? Where's that coming from? Would I be thinking in a same way if I was in their shoes? Because this is about broadening your perspective, opening up your mind to challenge your own assumptions. You know, I've written before about the whole concept of, the emperor has no clothes, and that one of the really important things in organizations is to have people who are willing to step up and make that challenge. Now, that can be really hard to do, but we see ourselves as rational and reasonable people when it comes to decision making. And yet there's a whole raft of different factors that will impact how and why we make a decision. Whether we've eaten, how tired we are, how busy we are, how emotionally invested we are in the decision, how attached we are to the outcome, who else is involved in the decision-making process. And the challenge with all of this is that we often just don't see our own limitations. We're not seeing the bias, the assumptions that are coming into that decision-making process. And we're making decisions on hunches, assumptions, preconceived ideas. And if you want more on this, you should read Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow, because he opens the Pandora's box on the complexity with which we make decisions, but also the mental shortcuts we use to make decisions. Now, it's very unlikely that you will wake up one morning and go, my goal today is to make a really bad decision. And yet we can often make bad decisions. And so part of the challenge is really opening and accepting that we're imperfect. We can be irrational, that we're influenced by context, and we can be overly emotional when it comes to certain decisions. We can often be short-sighted and cognitively lazy, which means to remove that, to shift that, it starts with being curious, challenging yourself, asking questions, and giving yourself the time and space to do that, so that ultimately you're not keeping yourself in the dark. Take care, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.